So here's the deal. We're on day 2 of the late season Alpine mule deer hunt. Halfway through the hike in, we absolutely got our asses kicked. Crazy cold, wind, rain, the whole 9 yards. So basically, we hiked about halfway of what our original goal was yesterday up from the truck. Cleared about 2,500 vertical feet, maybe 6 miles in total. We set up the sawtooth, had a really comfortable night, didn't get much in for hunting, weather was atrocious. Woke up this morning and we're gonna play there's another camping spot we want to get to that's about another 8 miles away, and we don't just want to smash it straight to that second camp spot because we might burn a bunch of country on our way through. So we're actually going to leave the same camp spot that we had last night tonight, and we've just come up towards the new camp spot, and we're going to kind of hike and glass maybe 2, 3, 4 miles, something like that. Take our time, nice and slow. The weather is far better today. It's still really cold, but at least it's been pretty dry, so much easier to kind of moderate temperature and moisture and everything else. But this is really going to be a glassing hunt. There's some fairly nice open, broken country, and we're just going to take our time and, hopefully we can turn up some nice bucks. All right, so we finally just ran across some tracks. It's our second day in here, and this is literally the first sign we've seen, except for maybe a couple older tracks on the way in, kind of way down at the bottom. I think it's very possible that the majority of this snow fell in the last 2 or 3 days, so it's not necessarily that bad of a sign that we haven't been seeing tons of tracks. But we just crossed, 6 or 7?
At least, yeah.
Yeah, at least 6 or 7 individual tracks, and they're all heading up the hill. So probably, based on when the snow stopped falling, these could have been early to middle of last night, and they are heading in the general direction we are. So, step in the right direction. All right, well, that's it for the day. We made it to the second spot we wanted to get to, but couldn't glass a whole lot of terrain. So, had a break for some food and coffee. Now we're gonna head back to our camp location. It's getting pretty late anyways, and some absolutely atrocious weather. Is rolling in, so we're gonna call it a day and hopefully get back to camp before dark. All right, it's morning day 3, and we're headed to our final camp spot, which I don't know, is somewhere between 8 and 10 miles. Now, yesterday we walked about, what do you think, 2/3 of the way there? Maybe 5 miles?
Yeah.
5 miles, did a bunch of glassing along the way, turned around and came back. So the first 5 miles, pretty boring, just repeated yesterday. We still haven't seen any deer, but we did finally find some good sign yesterday. So yeah, the game plan today is just to get to that final camp spot, get set up, and then hopefully maybe squeeze in an evening glass, and obviously stop and glass as we go, see what we can pick up. But there's a ton of fresh sign, super fresh droppings, brand new bed. He may literally have gotten up out of that when he heard us walking, but he didn't run and he didn't blow out. So we'll give it a couple more minutes. But it's possible he's just kind of sauntered off, and we'll just stick to the original game plan and get back on the trail. All right, so we tracked the deer for another couple more minutes. There's so many tracks in here, it just doesn't make any sense. And we're still quite a ways from where we want to camp. And we don't want to get stuck out in this when it gets too late. So we're gonna get back on the trail, but we're basically gonna treat the rest of this hike almost like a still hunt. Crazy quiet, there's tracks everywhere in here. I feel like we just crossed some kind of line and there was like no deer on the other side of it. And on this side of it are all the deer. So definitely the most optimistic area we've hit yet.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Rate this hike out of 10.
47.
I agree.
I want to die.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
All right, we finally made it. We left at 8 a.m. It's after 6 p.m. now. Easily one of my top 3 toughest hikes to date. If you don't follow any of my other stuff, what I failed to mention is that I decided to do this hunt kind of halfway through my last kind of bulking season before a bodybuilding competition. So I started this hunt at 262 pounds. And I will never do a hunt like this at this weight again. Yeah. Totally exhausted right now. So we're setting up camp. We still have like 3 days and 1 full day to walk out at the end. So we're seeing lots of sign. I'm optimistic. I need a shitload of food and a shitload of sleep, and I need to get off my legs for a bit. All right, we made it though. Don't get much better than that. So it's the morning of day 4, about 16 miles in from the truck. Got caught up on some sleeping food last night, feeling pretty good this morning. Hiked about 1 kilometer up to the top of a peak near camp. We just got a huge expanse, big burn down below us. Just a ton of stuff to glass. So we're gonna sit here for a couple hours. It looks super promising. And then kind of just make a big loop for the rest of the day and glass as we go and still hunt the timber as we go. So we're kind of doing a combo still hunt, spot and stalk, because there's tracks all through this timber. So the likelihood of bumping a buck is pretty high. I also feel like we should spot something pretty soon, like it's really good country. So anyways, back to glassing. far, this is the best action we've been finding, and that's heavily tracked areas in the thick timber. If you look around here, like there's tracks all over the place, and we're not seeing that in the bigger open areas. And I think the crazy wind and the cold has been really shutting them down, and they're just staying in the timber. So I still think our best bet is just still hunting this timber and hoping for the best. Another day in the books. Still no dead deer, but things are looking a little bit better. We found a lot of fresh sign, really, really fresh sign. A couple of beds that still hadn't frozen over, piss everywhere, a couple piles of fresh scat. And it's not far from camp. So we're gonna do something a little bit different tomorrow morning. We're actually gonna hike out in the dark to this knob we found that kind of glasses these two hills behind camp, where we found all the fresh sign. And it looks, from the age of the other sign we were finding, they're coming down to drink in the mornings. So we'll sit there until 9 or 10 and then basically still hunt the rest of the day up these hills behind camp. See what we can turn up. Morning, day 5, I think. I think it's Thursday today, and I think that makes it day 5. Puke and snow yet again. Starting to get a little concerned about the hike out, because it was a bitch on the way in, and it's puke snow straight since we got in here. But we've only got one more day hunting, so just hope for the best. Game plan for today, we got a shit taken on us because wanted to come out to this little knob and kind of glass this area where we seen a bunch of tracks yesterday, but the snow was so thick, visibility was basically 0. It finally started to lighten up a little bit, so I'm going to start glassing now. And the game plan for the day is just to spend as much time in the timber as possible, still hunting these bucks. We've seen the tracks, we know they're here, and then glass whatever open country we can. But they really seem to be staying out of the open country. It's kind of counter to what I'm used to. Like I would think, there would be a little group of trees or a little rocky outcropping and just the spot where you would think you'd see a mule deer bedded within there, but we never see them in there. And we never see tracks going in and out of there. It's always in the thick timber, so you just gotta adapt the game plan for what we're finding, I suppose. Other than that, things are going good. We could use some more action, but what are you gonna do? That's why they call it hunting, not killing. All right, time to get to glassing. Glass for the morning until about noon. Hadn't turned anything up, so we decided to do some still hunting. We're both headed off in opposite directions. Gonna meet back at our makeshift blind glassing spot in a couple hours. Been still hunting for about 45 minutes so far, and I've seen nothing. 0 sign. So I don't know if the heavy snow shut them down last night or what, but it's a ghost town in here. So that's pretty funny. Not 2 minutes after I recorded that last little update, I cut a fresh track, real fresh. The snow only stopped about an hour ago, and there's no snow in any of these tracks, and super fresh scat. It's basically still warm. It looks like a buck and a doe, so I'm just gonna keep creeping, following them, and hopefully I can catch up to them. underneath me. I followed the tracks there. I found 2 super fresh beds. And then going back in the same direction, the tracks, they clearly started running because before I was following walking tracks. And now, check this out. Whatever happened, they're just sprinting now. So maybe it was, 10, 15, 20 minutes ago and it had nothing to do with me. Or they heard me on their trail when they were bedded and I spooked them. I'm going to follow it for a little while and see if it goes back to a walking path and I might be able to catch up again. Okay, I'm going to have to turn around. Weird thing is, it looks like they picked up a 3rd deer, which kind of looks like another buck, which seems really odd. But I found a 3rd bed with a much larger track coming out of it. That then joined up with the other 2, and then they all started sprinting off. And I followed them for another maybe quarter mile, something like that. And they're just heading in the complete opposite direction from camp. And there's just a limit to how far I'm going to go realistically. And the major drawback today is that it's warmed up a few degrees. So the snow is making that creaking sound as you walk through it. Yesterday it was dry powder and I felt very confident in my still hunting abilities, but in this shit, they're going to hear me, 50 yards away easy and only have 20, 25 yards visibility. So I'm going to turn around, see if I can cut another track on the way back to the blind and go glass some more. All right, so I just met back up with Spencer. And the funny thing is, the 2 tracks that I've been following, he actually picked them up as well, but you had even more action than that.
Yeah, so I had a doe, spotted a doe in there about 100 yards away. So I just waited, tried to see if a buck was following it. And there was 2 other tracks going the opposite way. And me and Jay just realized, so he ended up following those tracks. And I ended up kind of following the doe and waiting to see if a buck was following it. But yeah, no luck, but a little more action today. So that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty brutal hunting. We're not getting a lot, but I do feel like we're getting closer. We're cutting fresher tracks. Spencer finally put eyes on a doe. There's a real good chance this time of year that the doe would have a buck on her. This one just didn't happen to. So I don't know. I think the game plan is just keep doing what we're doing. We've got one more full day. It warmed up and it started to rain a bit, which sucks ass, but it's getting later in the day. Hopefully by 3 or 4, it'll cool down enough that it'll go back to snow. Makes it quieter for walk and it's just more pleasant to be around. Anyways, that's it for now. All right, it's the end of day 5 and there's no other way to put this. We're just getting our asses kicked. It's cold, it's wet. There are not a lot of deer, but we got 1 full day left and then 1 full day to walk out. And the walkout is 16 miles or 26 kilometers. And we got to do that all in the last day. I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, but I know we're going to hunt all day. I'm hoping this weather breaks a little bit and we can glass, because glassing was pretty tough today. But yeah, I ain't got shit else to report. Just going to get up and try and do it all over again. It's the last full morning and I'm walking my way to my glassing spot. And I just found deer tracks in my tracks from my way out last night. Kind of frustrating, kind of good. I don't know. Anyways, here's to the last day. So me and Spencer split up and we're following different tracks. And then the tracks kind of met up and I could see that Spencer was there ahead of me. So I turned around, I came back to the blind, glassing knob. Spencer's still out, still hunting after those tracks. The hilarious part is now that the sun is up and the snow has calmed down, I'm glassing into the area where we've been glassing for the last 2 days straight, and I can see those tracks coming right across. It's like our plan was a decent plan. I think it might still be a little bit early. They're still probably mostly nocturnal. Maybe that's why we're not seeing much action during the day. But we're getting fresh tracks every morning from the movements they made at night. So I don't know. Just keep glassing and still hunting any fresh tracks we can find. So after being in here for a week and being literally shit on by Mother Nature non-stop, like every second was either wind or rain or snow, we wake up to go home, and what is this horse shit? Just unreal. All right, last day, hiking out. 16 miles, 26 kilometers to the truck. Just gonna put our heads down, get it done. Maybe we see something on the way out. Maybe we don't. Who knows? But it's been a hell of an adventure. All right.
I think so. He went down like rocks.
All right, so in classic last minute fashion, we're literally on our way out. We spot a group of does at about 1,000 meters. We were able to put together a little game plan, and Spence just got his first mule deer buck. So we're pretty excited. However, it's super late. We still have about 10 kilometers to get back to the truck. So we will do a wrap up in the truck on the drive home. All right, so first things first, you'll have to forgive us if this wrap up is a little bit muddled. It's now 10:30 at night. We left camp at 7:30 this morning. We just hiked 26 kilometers, the last 10 of which we had a deer split between us for the hike, and we're kind of beat up. But I want to kind of get our thoughts recorded now because we're on our way home and it's just the best time to do it. So we're going to do what we can. So up until the last 10 kilometers, everything was going as to be expected. Just hiking it out, crushing miles, doing what we could do to get home as fast as possible. Spencer's the one who actually shot the buck, so I think he might be the one best suited to tell the story.
Yeah, I mean, basically we're coming down a big hill and we were, glassing along the way and hoping to see something. And finally we saw a group of does, and so we just, kind of crept in a little closer, and everything just kind of worked out. We were just working our way down the trail, and they we just kind of hid behind some rocks, and they ended up kind of coming towards us. And I think we ended up shooting about 250 yards. And yeah, first mule deer buck with a gun. So that was still kind of speechless. Yeah, we were about 10K away from the truck at that point. So yeah, that was a fun pack out. Lots of gear we were carrying too. So yeah, definitely happy to be back in the truck now and on the way home. But yeah, it's crazy, you know, last day, I don't know, hour maybe or two of daylight I think we had. So definitely wasn't expecting our night to kind of end like that. But you know, all the miles we put in and all the effort, you know, going through the snow, just everything, it just kind of all kind of came together at the end there. And yeah, pretty happy with the end result. So yeah, no, that's kind of how it all went down. And now I'm just trying to stay on the road and not fall asleep.
All right, well, I don't know how much I can add or need to add to that. It was funny, the whole walkout, I was trying to think of, you know, what kind of philosophical bullshit I was going to say for the wrap up, because, you know, yet again, it was another big ball buster hunt and thought we were coming home empty. I think that's the closest to like last minute buck I've ever been a part of. Like I'd given up. Like we were like telling stories and like joking on the way, shooting the shit, like just, you know. And I couldn't be happier to be a part of your first muley buck. It was a pretty rad experience. It played out very well. Yeah, we couldn't ask for anything more. So that's a wrap. Late season Alpine mule deer hunt. Time to play in the next one.